YouTube. Okay, and I'm going to record a backup. Okay, and we're off. Thank you everyone for joining. I'll do my introduction in a moment, but I saw in the questions about the full moon. So yesterday we had this big full moon where the sun in Pisces, the moon in Virgo, both at 16 degrees, squaring Mars in Gemini, and we had this big transition of Saturn from the sign of Aquarius to Pisces. And yesterday I think what I had was a full moon hangover. Like I just needed to rest and relax. I had like one interview and then I for an article, and then I just relaxed the rest of the day and gave myself a break. So yeah, if anyone wants to share anything, I felt like, because I have Mars in Gemini and the moon was squaring Mars and with Saturn changing, I just felt like my body just needed to rest. And so I watched this movie Tar. I'm trying to watch the Oscar movies with Cate Blanchett. And it was such a Saturn and Pisces movie. So I wonder, her ascendant is thought to be 15 Taurus, so Uranus on her ascendant. I'm wondering if she might be a surprise winner at the Oscars. I don't know, we'll see. She was great acting. The movie was a little long, and now I've started watching The Whale, which is also very Saturn and Pisces. So Tar was Saturn and Pisces. She's like this prestigious conductor who's very tough. And Pisces music, Pisces rules music, Saturn a leader, and she goes through this consequences of her behavior experience. And with The Whale, Pisces, like Brendan Fraser's character is eating himself to death. So it's very like Pisces, like him using food as like a drug, and Saturn, like the consequences of all this and the hardship of what he's done to his body. This movie is really good. I'm not done with it yet, but that's my hi Rosemary. Hi. Yes. So yeah, so the full moon knocked me out a bit, but I feel better, much better now. So yeah, share anything if you want. I'd love to know where you're calling in from, and you can share any comments. I read all the comments at the end. You can put any questions in or come off mute when I take breaks. Okay, let me get going so we can do as many as we can. I'm going to share my screen here. And I talked about how the full moon was conjunct the asteroid Lilith, which is related to Adam's first wife, who was either left or cast out of the Garden of Eden because she wouldn't be subservient to him. And I said there would be news about women who, can't be tamed kind of thing. And Judy Blume, the author, got a write-up in the New York Times yesterday, and she is having one of her books, Are You There, God Is Me, Margaret, is coming to the theaters next month. And that's a book about a girl questioning her faith in God. Judy Blume's books were banned. And she really helped a lot of young women back in the 70s, 60s, 70s, 80s, go through life experiences of like getting your period and having sex for the first time and all of that kind of stuff. And so Saturn in Pisces, like losing faith is very Saturn in Pisces. So I thought it was very interesting to see her yesterday. And there were a couple others of women that, 4 Texas women are suing over the abortion bans because they had pregnancies where 3 of them, their lives were at risk. And one of them, the baby's life was they knew the baby couldn't survive. Yeah, so they're suing Texas. So I thought that was announced yesterday, I believe, and that was very in line with the full moon conjunct asteroid Lilith. Okay, so let's get going. So today is Ask Celeste Anything, so meant to be Q&A. You can ask anything you would like. For those who are new to me, I'm an astrologer, coach, teacher, podcaster, and intuitive. I specialize in natal with birth chart astrology, horary, which is the astrology of burning questions. I love doing horary, where you ask a question around, it can be about a relationship or a job or a business partnership, whatever. And when the astrologer understands the question and agrees to take it, they cast a chart, and the chart tells you and whatever you're asking about are represented by planets and what house they're in, the speed they're moving. That most recent aspect says what happened most recently, the next aspect, what's likely to happen next. And it gives you like unique insight. Mundane astrology is the astrology of current events and world events. Yeah, so those are the 3 I specialize in. I'm working on my predictive astrology, trying to get even better with that. I'm the founder of the Moon Mastery Program, and my podcast is called Celestial Insights, and it's available wherever you listen, except unfortunately Pandora. I'm having trouble getting it up on Pandora, but I'm trying. I'm a Taurus sun, Aries moon, and Cancer rising. So my Taurus sun, I like things to be practical, grounded in reality, so that are and actionable. My Aries moon, I like us to take some risks and have fun doing it, and being inspired to reach for more than what we even sometimes think is possible. And my Cancer rising, I have a consultative approach and like to have a warm atmosphere where everyone feels safe to share. So if everyone could go on mute, I think I hear a little background noise. I love to read, and although these days I listen to Audible more often because I'm too tired to read at times. But anyway, I'm a foodie and I love flat-faced dogs. Little Debo had to go to the vet today, and $500 later, because he has skin allergies, he is doing just fine. Anyway, and my background, I spent over 25 years in corporate and sales, marketing, and business development, and I had my degree in biology and MBA. So my website is astrologybyceleste.com, and these are different ways you can work with me. You can listen to my podcast. You can come to my intention setting workshops. The next one is on the 19th, and it's available. I'll send a link in the show notes. Here, let me, I'm hearing a little noise. Let's see. Yeah, okay. What was I saying? Yeah, so the next new moon is the Aries new moon, and Aries starts the astrological year. So it's a really important new moon to set intentions for and like start taking actions. And then we're having eclipse season. So eclipses are times of where new beginnings, big new beginnings and endings happen. The eclipse is on April 19th. So we have 2 Aries new moons coming up. So yeah, come to one of the intention setting workshops if you have goals or just want to learn more about the astrology. I host them every month. If you want to take my Moon Mastery class, it starts March 14th. I'll tell you a little more about that later, but you can also come and book a reading with me. I do events, I do mentoring and coaching as well, and I'm on Instagram Live every week, a couple times a week. Yeah, so that's me. I love this quote from Dane Rudyard, "Astrology is a language. If you understand this language, the sky speaks to you. And it speaks to you about the timing of events in your life, the nature of what's going on, not just in our own lives, but in the collective. I obviously love the language of astrology. I always wanted to learn another language besides English. And I tried so hard with Spanish, but as soon as people start talking, I get lost. So anyway, I realized that I manifested learning a new language with astrology. Yeah. So sometimes things come to you in ways you don't expect. So today we're going to just talk. I'm just going to overview natal chart basics just as a review. And then I'm going to do an astrology in action for today is International Women's Day. Yeah, Moniqua, if you can stay on mute, please, because I can hear your background noise. And then I'm going to talk about the class, and then I'll try to do everyone's hot take who wants one, as long as I have the energy. Yeah. So what is astrology? Just setting the framework for people who are very new to astrology. It's the study of the motion and positions of the planets, asteroids, fixed stars, other celestial objects, and as having an influence on human affairs in the natural world, as above, so below. I more see it as a mirror, not that the stars cause things to happen, but they are a reflection of what is happening here on Earth. And humans, tens of thousands of years, have used the movements of the stars and the planets for all sorts of things like timekeeping. I mean, the calendar is all about the relationship of the sun and the moon. The word month comes from the moon phases. The calendar we use now, the Gregorian calendar, tracks the sun's movements. Navigation, people following the stars, celebrating at night with the full moon, or hunting with the under the moonlight, planning things, planting, reaping, sowing, all of this kind of stuff, military strategy, and yeah, understanding personality. So your natal chart, this is the zodiac wheel, and we can think about the wheel as life on a stage, like when you go to the theater to see a play, and the planets are the actors. So each planet has a function and a role to play in our lives. The sun is our identity, our core essence, whatever house it shines in on really speaks to what we're here to do. Our moon, how we need to feel safe and nurtured, our behaviors. The sun is our conscious mind, the moon is our subconscious mind. Mercury, how we think and communicate. Venus, how we relate to other people, how we are in relationships. Love and beauty associated with it. Mars, how we take action. And so they're each represented in the wheel by these little glyphs. And the signs that they're in represent their costumes. It's how they do their job, why they do their job. So like, for instance, a sun in Taurus is concerned about security, is concerned about pleasure, versus about manifesting in the real world. Whereas maybe a sun in Aries, a different costume, is more about like taking risks or competition or having fun. Maybe not thinking so much about like the consequences and the material world. So they each are different based on the sign that they're in. So you see in the chart, you see the planets, and this is solar fire, which I use, and you see the signs on the outside of the wheel here, and they're also in here. And so the planets can be anywhere in the chart. The signs always follow the same the same format, the same sequence. It's always Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, blah, blah, blah. You know, it just goes on in the same sequence. Sorry, I like what's the moon's in Libra. I'm kind of like talking a little fast. Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, they're kind of like they're interior designers as well. The houses are these 12 pieces of the pie, and they represent the areas of life where the action takes place. So if you're thinking about a play, you're thinking about the dining room set versus the living room set. These are all very different kind of places in our lives. And the 4 houses that are the most important are the first house, which speaks to our physical body, our vitality, our identity. It's started by the ascendant, and that is like if you were your mother giving birth to you is in the center of the wheel, and when you take your first breath, the doctor ran out to the eastern horizon. Eastern horizon. The sign that was coming up is called the rising sign, or your ascendant, and the degree here sets your whole chart. And then the 10th house, which is our career, our status, our reputation, is set by the midheaven, which is the degree where the sun reached its highest point on the day that we're born. And so this is another angular the most important house. The 7th house is the partner. So you can think the first house is about the self, the 7th house is about the partner. All the houses, all the signs are on an axis. Yeah. And then the 4th house is our home, family, and foundation. So this point down here is the IC, which is exactly opposite the MC. So the MC, the midheaven, the highest point we can reach in the world. The IC, the most private part in our chart, our home, family, and foundations. The ascendant is ourself, and the descendant is our partner. So those are so if you have planets in those houses, those are like the biggest areas in life. Yeah. The 2nd house is about our resources. The 3rd is about our mind and how we think and things close to us. The 5th house is about joy, the things we do to create joy, our self-expression, children, fun, dating, sex, things like that. Sorry. The 6th house is about daily life. It's about things that go wrong with our health. Like the 1st house is our vitality. The 6th house is more like things that go wrong with our health. Small pets fall in the 6th house. So today I took my little dog to the vet, and this Saturday is the Jupiter Chiron conjunction. And I have Sagittarius on the 6th house cusp. So Jupiter rules my dog. And he's been having like his little skin problems, and he's been scratching a lot. So Jupiter Chiron, I took him to the vet to help alleviate his suffering. Chiron, the wounded healer. So yeah, so that's how that's shown up in my life. So you can think about this big opportunity for healing coming up this weekend. Or you talked about the 7th. The 8th house is about other people's things. So like when you think about the axis, the 2nd house is about our possessions, our salary, our income, our assets. The 8th house is about other people's. It's about shared assets and things like that. So like your partner's salary is your 8th house. So Seventh house is your partner. Their income is the eighth house, which is your shared assets. Also, things like debts and fall into the eighth house. Ninth house is higher learning, religion, philosophy, long distance travel, things that are farther away from us, whereas the third house is things that are closer to us, like our local neighborhood and things like that, versus you like when you go on a trip to wherever, another country or somewhere you're unfamiliar, it's ninth house. Talked about the 10th house. The 11th house is groups, organizations, other people's children, whereas the fifth house is our own children and things we do for joy. And this is more like things we do for other people, the collective. And the 12th house is the house of secrets. It's about seclusion. It's about mystical things. It's endings. And I also think like mental health falls into the 12th house, whereas physical health, I feel like, is a more of a sixth house topic. But when you go to the hospital, that's a 12th house. It's an institution, or, you know, your doctors. Yeah, so hopefully that's helpful about the houses. And then the lines between the planets and other celestial objects are called aspects. And so when you see blue lines, there tends to be more ease and flow, where the energy can flow very easily. Whereas the red lines, there's more tension. So there's, like, you can think about the actors on the stage having a conversation. Are they talking sweetly to each other, or are they yelling at each other? You can think about, or like having a conflict. You can think about that with the aspects. Yeah. So the planets are the actors, the signs, the costumes they're wearing, the interior designing of the houses, the areas, the places where the action's happening, and the aspects, the dialogue. Great. Are there any questions, Ashley?
Yes, let's see. Did you say DC is your partner?
Yes, the descendant is your partner. So if this was a person, they would be represented. There would be a Leo rising, that's the sign here, and they'd be represented by the sun. And their partner would, because Aquarius is on the descendant, would be represented by Saturn. Yeah, which rules the sign of Aquarius.
And the next question is a personal one. That Jupiter Chiron is hitting my natal Chiron retrograde. What should I prepare for?
What I would say, what house is your Chiron in? I think, you know, Chiron is our deepest soul wound, and Chiron in Aries has to do with, Aries is about the self. It's the I am principle. So Jupiter Chiron can be a time of like big healing, especially since you're in your Chiron return, if the conjunction's on your Chiron. So I would say on Saturday, really take some time to just, treat yourself very gently, and yeah, just some stuff, emotional stuff may come up this week.
Yeah, it's in my 8th house. I think
Oh,
it's 8 degrees. So my natal Chiron is like 8 degrees in Aries in my 8th house.
So yeah, so the 8th house is psychological shadows. Really some deep stuff may be available for healing.
Okay.
With that.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah, I like that. That's a good day to do it. Like pull a few tarot cards. What is this? What is being called to my attention that really needs some healing? Yeah.
Where would in-laws and your grandparents sit?
So yeah, you can look for grandparents, can be a 4th house topic. Yeah, but you can also split parents, like father is the 4th house and mother is the 10th house traditionally. Now, some modern astrologers flip it, but I found it's really the traditional works. And then you could say my mother's mother would be, so my mother 10th house, so her mother would be her 10th house. So it's called derived houses. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So would be your 7th house. A transit in your 7th house could mean something is going on with your mother's mother. And then your father's father would be the same house, because 4 and then 1, 2, 3, 4. So there are ways you can see everyone in your chart. In-laws are typically looked at as 9th house. But you could also do it that way, kind of look at like my spouse's father could be something happening in your 10th house as well. That gets a little more complicated, but yeah, you've got everyone in your life in your chart.
Do you have any like tips or tricks for how to learn aspects?
How to learn aspects. Yeah, if you want, in terms of predictive astrology, Bernadette Brady's book, I think, it's called Predictive Astrology, has some of the best explanations on aspects, but you can think about conjunctions are the energy merges between the 2 planets. That comes together. Trines, that 120-degree aspect, is smooth, easy flow of energy. You can think about it almost like a slide. Typically, we think of trines as good, but sometimes like things can go great and easily, but they can also go down the tubes easily. This is the 120-degree aspects. And when people are sitting 120 degrees, like they're like looking at each other that way, that's pretty harmonious. Typically, they're having a good conversation. Sextiles are 60-degree aspects. And so I should say trines, the planets are all in the same element: fire, earth, air, and water. With sextiles, they're in complementary elements. So fire and air are both yang, outward pushing energy. Earth and water are yin, more internal or introspective. So sextiles are either between fire and air or earth and water. And so there's an opportunity, if you lean in a little bit, to have a good result. Yeah. And then squares, that tension, that's that 90-degree aspect where, it's an aspect of conflict. Squares are the nature of Mars, the planet of action. And so it takes effort to get something to happen. And people with a lot of squares can be really successful because they come up against these conflicting energies, which force them to figure out how to make things work when 2 things, aren't in a harmonious nature. So when you have squares, you have planets that are in the same mode, and that would be the cardinal initiating energy, the fixed, which really holds the energy, or mutable. And so they're 2 planets that kind of want to do the same thing, but different ways. And so there's this tension. Trines are of the nature of Jupiter, this abundant energy. Sextiles are the nature of Venus, like I scratch your back, you scratch my back, kind of thing. Mars, we kind of have to duke it out a little bit. And then oppositions to planets are as far apart from each other as they can be. And they are of the nature of Saturn. And oppositions are typically coming in from other people or events, something outside of yourself. And with oppositions, we tend to project on the further outer planet. So if you have the sun opposite Mars, you may feel like people are always starting stuff with you, or the sun opposite Uranus, like they're like maybe erratic or brilliant, or people who like awaken you to different ways of being in your life, things like that. Or Venus opposite Pluto. In relationships, you may feel like someone's trying to dominate you or exert power over you, or you have a power struggle with, things like that. So I hope that was helpful, a little primer on the main aspects.
She said that she'll learn more in Moon Mastery next week.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes.
And she was also looking, or she also meant looking at a chart and knowing what aspects are there.
Oh, okay. The best way to know what aspects are there is when you learn the signs, the modes and elements. So yeah, then you just start recognizing, like if a planet is in Virgo and there's a planet in Pisces and they're the same number, they are opposite each other because those are both mutable signs in opposition. Yeah, so you'll start being able to recognize that when you start memorizing the signs and what their mode and element are. And or you can recognize, like, this chart has them drawn in with, like, the blue is the trine, the red square is the square aspect. Yeah.
And what's the difference between a grand trine and what's a grand trine versus a trine?
So a grand trine is when you have a planet in each of the three elements, each of the three signs of an element. So it could be a planet in each of the fire signs, air signs, water signs, or earth signs. So that makes a triangle on a chart. And they can be, they can be like, you can get in a loop, or it can be like you have this great talent with whatever it is. People have fire trines, have sometimes never ending energy, a source of that. Yeah. Water trines can be very, like, intuitive. Earth trines, like, manifesting magic. And air, like, great with communication, or you could be like rambling nonstop.
What's the difference between the whole house system and the other one?
So whole house is just, it like puts the whole sign in a house. Yeah. And then each of the others are there are a bunch of different house systems. I mostly use Placidus, which is based on planetary hours. There's for natal charts, and then I use Regiomontanus for horary. But there are different systems that are divide the chart in different ways, some based on the ecliptic, some based on time, space. Yeah, but whole sign makes things easy, but then you lose the very clear way to see the ascendant and descendant, midheaven and IC. And with a chart, the sun rises in the east. So when the sun crosses the ascendant, it's visible in the sky, and it sets in the west. And so that gives you a visible representation when you're using a house system where you see the ascendant on on that horizontal axis, yeah, you can really see it clearer. But you can use whatever house system you want. Most people use the house system they were originally taught. But you can also do some learning on how they're all different. But no matter what house system you're using, the angular houses are always the ones that are the most important when you have planets on the angular houses or in the angular houses.
Can you show an example of where to find the degree of the planet? Or do you have any good resources for that?
Yeah, so every program, it shows it a little differently, but here with Solar Fire, you'll see the planet, and then you'll see the degree, the sign, and then the minutes. So yeah, each sign has 30 degrees. So it starts at 0 and it goes to 29. And so there are 360 degrees in the circle. There's 30 degrees per sign, 12 signs. Yeah, each one starts at 0000 and ends at 2959. So it depends on the software you're using on where the degrees are located. But I mostly focus on the degree, and the minutes, I don't get too worried about the minutes.
How can you look at transits in a chart? For example, if like Neptune is moving into Aries, how do you know where and when that will reflect in your chart?
So you need an ephemeris, which is a book of the planetary movements. And you can also get it on, here, I'll show you, like astro.com. Okay, so astro.com is free, is a software program that's free, and it has, and one nice thing, it tells you the current planets, where everything is right now. Oh, no wonder I'm being so erratic. The moon is at 5 degrees of Libra on my Uranus, and I started just like blah, 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 blah. Yeah, that's why I'm a little, I'll try to take a breath and slow down, because Uranus can kind of, excite you. Okay, so where is horoscopes? And you can go to ephemeris. Where's ephemeris? Here we go. So it's really cool. They have ephemerises for, back thousands of years. So we are in the 22nd century, and then you just go to, oh, we're in the 21st century, sorry. Where's 2023? There it is. Okay. So an ephemeris is a table of all of the planetary movements. So if you wanted to know, say, when Saturn was going to change signs, enter Pisces, we would look. Oh, this has. We're in March. So you see on, that's Mercury. Where's March 7th? That tells you that this is the day that Saturn, you can see it's at 0 Pisces. So it'll be at 0 Aries in May of 2025. So it's a table where you can see where the degrees are every single day. And this is based on GMT time. And as you look down, so Venus, you can see Venus. It tells you the day, each of the planets. Venus started the month at 10 degrees Aries. And you can see that it moves to Taurus around the 16th, 17th of the month. And this is degrees and minutes. So I hope that's helpful. So you can get this as a physical book. I have one that's for 1950 to 2050. And so you can just flip around. And I recommend it because looking in the ephemeris, you can really see the speed of the planets. So you can see how Mercury, moves so fast. And Saturn barely moves. Yeah, like look how slow Saturn's moving. It stays at the same degree for a while. Whereas Pluto, the furthest out planet, you see, look at it's 29 for the whole month. It barely moves. Uranus moves a little bit faster. Excuse me, Neptune a little bit faster, Uranus a little bit faster, Saturn. And then you start realizing, like when planets are about to go retrograde, you can really get an eye for the speed as in a physical, ephemeris or looking at the paper. Or you can use software for these things.
What rulers do you use? Do you use traditional rulers?
I mostly use traditional rulers. So for Scorpio, I use Mars, but I will look at Pluto. For Aquarius, I use Saturn, but I will look at Uranus. And for Pisces, I use Jupiter, but I will look at Neptune to see what it's doing as well. But like in horary, you only use the traditional rulers.
Can you go over the third house once again?
Yeah, the third house is the house of the mind. So it's the house of things that are close to us. And it has to do with thought processes and things, early childhood education. It also has to do with our siblings fall in the third house, our local neighborhood, like cousins and things fall into the third house. Short distance travel and trips, like going to the post office. When you have like the sun going through your third house, you typically have a month where you're doing a lot of errands and busy, moving kind of things.
Can you spot retrogrades in this table?
Yes. So Mercury is going to go retrograde in May. So let's look at May. So you see, it's already retrograde. Okay, let's look at, so here, you see, and like looking, you'll see, oh, wait, remember how Mercury was moving like 2 degrees every day? See how it's slowing down. And then you see on Friday, April 21st, it goes retrograde at 15 degrees of Taurus. See, and you can look up, you see Taurus, and then 15 degrees, that R means retrograde. And then you'll start to see now it's moving backwards slowly. And this is a declination table. Yeah, you can look at, you have those too. See, now it's moving. So at the top, when you get to the day, it shows you at the top line, okay, it's retrograde. And then you can see how it's moving backward. And then at 5 degrees of Taurus is D, it goes direct. And now it starts moving up again.
Oh, what was your most jaw-dropping prediction?
For this year, my most jaw-dropping prediction is that Kamala Harris may be president. We'll see what happens. Oh, jaw-dropping when I saw, I was like, the week the queen died, I didn't say she was going to die, but I thought she would well, I kind of thought she might, but I didn't say it. But on my podcast, I talked about, I thought we would be hearing news about Queen Elizabeth. Not that shocking that a woman almost 100, died, but seeing what was going on that week. Yeah, so I guess that was kind of jaw-dropping. Also jaw-dropping was, I thought we were going to have a rail strike because Mars stationed on Uranus, and we did not, thankfully. It was what I was seeing was the day that all the airlines were grounded. But I was I got this feeling about the rail strike. Although this big story this year is about the train accidents, Mars Uranus, even though it happened after, a month after the Mars station in Gemini on the nation's Uranus. And now we're having all of these train accidents. It's part of the big part of the story of the year, but it's not a strike. So that's kind of jaw-droppingly wrong, but kind of in line. But we'll see what happens with Kamala Harris.
With horary charts, can you ask more than one question with the same chart?
You can, but you really should focus you'll get a better, clearer answer with one specific question, but there'll be other details in it. It's pretty amazing. Yeah. And I've had like someone ask a multifaceted question where the chart was like totally on point with the different things, but it's really best to focus in on one question. But there'll be little, and especially when you look back in retrospect, sometimes you'll see like, oh yeah, it showed you this was going to happen and this was going to happen and this was going to happen. And it tells you something about a different aspect of your life.
Are there any horary classes available?
I took the School of Traditional Astrology. I would highly recommend it. It's Deb Holdings' school. Yeah, it's a 20-week program where you dive really deep into horary. I'm also studying right now with Elena Lumen, an advanced horary class, but I really recommend, I can't recommend the STA highly enough. It's incredible. And you learn so much about astrology when you take horary, like just about even natal astrology.
Can you discuss why the meaning of a degree is important?
The meaning of a degree is important because that tells you when an aspect is going to happen. So you need to know, like, okay, my sun is at 12 Taurus. So when the sun gets to 12 Taurus in the sky, it's, it's my solar return. Or when the sun gets to 12 Scorpio, the sun is opposite my sun, and something may be shown to me through someone else or a situation about my identity or how I express myself. When the sun is in, say, at 12 Aquarius and 12 Leo, that's a square to my natal sun. And these can be times of crisis where like action needs to be taken because there's squares, there's tension that, yeah, that's like pushing. So all the planets, you need to know the degree to understand when you're having an aspect. And aspects are the tightest, they're the most prominent between like 2 to 3 degrees on either side. And as they're coming in, they're stronger than them when they're going out. And that's called applying versus separating. So that might be helpful to just look at a chart. Like, I think I mentioned Judy Bloom. So if we look at, you can see, so this is her chart inside, and then the transits outside of her chart. And so you can, with solar fire, you can move by days, so where you can see which house the moon is going through. And knowing the moon, like you turn your attention to things related to those topics when the moon is in each of the houses. So, but the moon moves so fast, and it changes signs every 2.5 days. That's not as, things happen so fast, but like Judy Bloom looking at Pluto in the sky is opposite her natal Pluto. And now is a time where all of these, like she's getting all of this prominence about the work she's done in a time where women have been having, a lot of struggles worldwide. Yeah. And Mars on her Chiron, her work is coming to the movie theaters. She's got 2 series coming. All of this kind of stuff has been going on, where I bet she's been doing a lot of work and martial action needing to be taking place, or people around her career, while Mars has been in Gemini for the last forever. But like, you'll see Jupiter will move into her 7th house. So her partner, if she has one, may be experiencing some abundance or bounty or something when Jupiter moves into, or treat her to something spectacular when Jupiter moves into her 7th house, or they just may be getting along extra well or something like that. So
Oh, sorry.
No, that's me. I'm like plugged into a light socket with this moon on my Uranus.
What does declination mean?
So declination has to do with the planets. So there's a zodiac degree, and then there's it's like a latitude, longitude. So we measure declination based on the sun. So the sun's path around the earth goes like 23, I think it's 0.45 degrees off the ecliptic north or south, depending on the time of the year. And so where a planet is in relationship to that, let me show you. Okay, so this is a declination strip on the side. And so what we use declination for is when you see two planets are at that the same level, it's like a secret conjunction. And then when they're on opposite sides of the equator or the ecliptic, excuse me, they're called contraparallel or parallel. And they're represented by, you can see parallels are these two lines that are just the diagonals, and contraparallels have a cross between them. So you can see in Judy Bloom's chart, she has Venus contraparallel Uranus. So, you know, she refused to conform to society's expectations of what was proper for a woman to be writing about, and wrote about topics that, you know, like got her books banned. And maybe in her life she's had, well, she was divorced. So Venus contraparallel Uranus at some point when that was activated might have been around the time that she separated from her first husband. Yeah, and you see she has the sun contraparallel Uranus. So she's someone who's a little bit of a, you know, she's an individualist, a rebel, whatever. Yeah, so they're like conjunctions and oppositions, but you cannot see them on the wheel. You have to know what their degree is in relationship to relationship to the sun's apparent path around the earth. I hope that made sense.
So when there's a planet opposed or transiting to create an opposition, that means someone else is influencing you. And if there's a conjunction, does that mean it's more of an internal influence? Sorry.
But yeah, conjunctions can be an internal influence. It can also be it can also be someone else, but oppositions tend to really be coming in from outside someone. Like someone could come up and give you a kiss when Venus is on your, I don't know, your sun. So that could be, but you're feeling these like wonderful feelings, like you're happy to have the kiss or whatever. Or you could just be, yeah, it can be internal as well, but it can also be a situation or person.
Is it true that Capricorn risings have 2 Saturn returns back to back?
No. Saturn, yeah, for everyone, the Saturn return is when Saturn gets back to where it was when you were born. And so you either have one hit where it just goes over, or you have the conjunction, like you have the conjunction when it's going direct, then another one when it's retrograde, and then a third one when it's direct again. So you either get one hit or 3 hits, and one of my teachers called it 3 coats of paint. So sometimes you need 3 times to fully integrate what's going on with you. But Saturn rules Capricorn. So maybe someone was talking about when Saturn crosses the ascendant, it's feels like a Saturn return for Capricorns, but I've never heard that before. But they definitely, you know, they don't have any additional Saturn returns just because they're a Capricorn rising.
Maybe if Saturn was retrograde, maybe someone.
Oh, you can get You can get 3 hits. Yeah. You either get 3 or 1. And let me show that. I will. So, like, let's see, where's Saturn? So see, Saturn's at 0 degrees of Pisces right now. So say someone had their Saturn at 0 degrees of Pisces. So they would be in a Saturn return right now. Let's use something. You know what? Let's do it this way. Let's say someone. Okay. I am never going to schedule a talk when you're when the moon is something's on my Uranus. I feel like I'm a live wire. Okay, months. So say this was someone was, yeah. See, this is the natal, this would be representative of the natal chart, and this is the transiting planets. So you'll see how, look how Saturn's moving away, and then it goes retrograde. See how it comes back? So the first hit, often there's like an event. And when it comes back, like there's something that comes under review that is, or there may be another event of a similar nature. And then it'll go back over again. You don't really see it that way. Pretend that Saturn was at 1 degree. You would, because Saturn, you'd get the first hit. Okay. You'd get, so pretend Saturn's at 1 degree. You get the first hit as it goes over once. Then it retrogrades back over. You get a second hit. And then you get a third hit when it goes back over the other way. And the last hit is like the psychological integration of whatever's gone before. There could also be an event. And when you have your Saturn return, it's like you are maturing, like you are taking on more responsibility, or you're separating from something, or all of the above. And people tend to like have something big happen when they're 28, 29, when they have their first Saturn return, where they like get married or take on a new job or move away from home, or like a long way away, or like get promoted or lose a job or things like that, or have to take on more responsibilities at home, buy a house, these sorts of things.
So just to clarify, when your natal Saturn is, for example, at 7 degrees, your Saturn return would not begin until Saturn reaches 7 degrees again of the same sign.
So with your Saturn return, I would give an orb of about 10 degrees or so. Like some people will start feeling it as soon as Saturn goes into the sign that their Saturn is in. It's really like a year and sometimes longer. Some people like really feel it the whole sign. So that would be 2.5 years Saturn stays in a sign. But if you're looking at a chart, you'll probably feel it the most intensely when Saturn's within 5 degrees on either side. But I would go as far as 10. It's a huge life transit. Saturn's the planet of karma. It's the planet of our lessons. It's the planet of maturity, discipline, achievement. It's a big deal. And Saturn comes to talk to us every 7 years. So like your Saturn return, and then 7 years later, you'll be in an opening Saturn square. 7 years after that, a Saturn opposition. 7 years after that, a closing Saturn square. And that's where the 7-year itch comes from. Whenever you hear seven, when you're like, whether you're reading a book, watching a movie, someone's telling you a story, 7 years, you think about Saturn. There's something about a lesson in that.
This is a personal question. Aquarius rules my 7th house. Since Saturn has moved into my sun sign Pisces, does it mean my relationship will get better?
It could very well, like, did you do the work, go through the difficulties, go through the struggles, the tests when Saturn was in your 7th house with your partner, and now Saturn going into the 8th house, which is the house of intimacy. There could be maybe you're really connecting on a deeper level, or maybe the struggle continues. It depends on your chart, or like, yeah. And is it a healthy relationship? If it's not, Saturn in the 8th house, it could be, there could be additional difficulties because it's shared assets, intimacy, deep stuff, shadows.
Why is there so much discussion around Pluto and Saturn changing signs this year?
Because it's like, well, Saturn is a social planet that has a lot to do with the collective and the collective tests that we're coming up against, and lessons we're learning and things like that. So anytime an outer planet like Saturn, which only changes signs every 2.5 years or so, it's a big deal. Yeah. So, we're going to be seeing things related to Saturn in this water sign of Pisces, coming into the collective. Now, it's a lot more internal. Like when Saturn went into Aquarius, we had social distancing, locked down, like separating people, the collective Aquarius, from each other. Separating Saturn, Aquarius from each other. Yeah.
What was the name of the horary program you mentioned one more time?
It's the School of Traditional Astrology. It's the STA. I think it's sta.co. See. Yeah, and if you sign up, tell them I sent you. Okay, I dropped it in the chart. I'm in the chat.
What is the first thing you look at when approaching a natal chart reading?
The first thing I look at is what jumps out at me. So let me answer that when I start doing chart readings. I'll show you.
I think those are all of the main questions, and
Okay.
anything else can be answered during the readings.
Okay, great. Okay. So, yeah, one of the things when you look at a chart, you look at what's above the horizon versus what's below the horizon. Below the horizon is more personal, internal. Above the horizon is us out in the world. That's one of the main things I look at when I see a chart. That's one thing. Okay. let's keep going. And this is just, another, each of the signs has like an I statement that speaks about the nature of the sign. And I mentioned Aries is I am, Taurus about our resources, I have, Gemini, I think, an air sign, the mind, Cancer, a water sign, I feel, kind of thing. And then that just shows you. And in modern astrology, this is a difference between traditional and modern. We somewhat associate the houses with the signs, although they're different. Yeah, but they have like a similar flavor. Okay, so I did want to talk a little bit about, since it's International Women's Day, about what's going on in Iran with the women of Iran who are standing up against the religious authority and really risking life and death. And this revolution started when Masha Amini was murdered for like her hijab, the headscarf not being on properly. And one of the things I said at my podcast was about, untamed women making news because of the full moon, and the moon was at 16 degrees of Virgo, was next to, and this was yesterday, the the asteroid Lilith, a woman who would not be subservient. And you can see the north node of Iran is at 17 degrees of Virgo. So the full moon, the sun was in Pisces, the moon in Virgo across this axis, asteroid Lilith at their north node, squaring Mars in Gemini, and Mars right now is about 21 Gemini. So like action taking. I don't know if there are going to be any protests or things like that. I'm hoping, the Jupiter Chiron conjunction is happening at 14 degrees of Aries, and their ascendant is at 14 degrees of Sagittarius. So the conjunction's happening in the fourth house. And the fourth house in mundane astrology can be about rebels. It's also about like the homeland in a trine, and Jupiter rules freedom. It rules truth. Chiron, the wounded healer. I'm hoping that, it's symbolic of something starting that like really starts like freedom from this religious theocracy in the sky. Now Pluto is at 29 Capricorn, opposite their Jupiter at 29 Cancer. So Pluto opposite Jupiter, somehow like breaking down. Pluto like breaks things down it's the destroyer, opposite Jupiter, this religious theocracy. I'm hoping that has something to do with it. With Saturn going into Pisces, Venus rules the midheaven of Iran, and the midheaven is like the leader, is the authority, speaks to the government. So maybe Saturn coming to Venus can be like separating the power from them. So, but Venus also rules women. So it could also be symbolic of them being even more pressure, even more oppression on the women of that country. But I'm hoping it'll be about them breaking free, because Neptune in the sky, Neptune dissolves things, is on the Mars of the country. So like Mars, Neptune can be like a holy war, like where people are really fighting about their beliefs and what they stand for. And like Neptune on the Mars, them I'm hoping it's symbolic of them losing some of the ability to oppress people. We'll see what happens. They're coming up to a Uranus opposition where Uranus, the people revolting against the country may make big changes. I'm hoping. We'll see what happens. And yeah, Mars in the sky is squaring their Neptune. So it really, Mars and Gemini. Oh, it's opposing their Neptune, excuse me, right now. So I don't know. We'll see if we see anything this week going on with Iran, and hopefully something positive. Yeah. Yeah. Really rooting for them. The bravery it takes to stand up in that kind of circumstance is incredible. And Pluto moving into Aquarius will be in an exact trine to their midheaven. So from the second house of values, will they be able to transform the values of this country in order for women's to have, more autonomy and more rights for themselves? We'll see. Oh no, Tanya, your Zoom is disconnecting for you. You'll be able to watch the recording. Yeah. Were there any other questions, Ashley?
No, just one more that is pretty significant. She's wondering the numbers on the outside of the wheel, what those mean of the natal chart wheel.
Let me see. The numbers on it. I'll answer that when I get to a chart. Okay, so I dropped the link for Moon Mastery for anyone who wants to take the class with me. I love teaching about the moon because it's our subconscious mind. It has to do with our behaviors, what we need to feel safe. This class is a tool for self-discovery. You'll learn so much about yourself, how you relate to other people, as well as working with the moon cycles is an amazing way to manifest in the real world. I used the moon cycles to retire early from my corporate career and become an astrologer full-time. Yeah, so you can take either, there are two classes, Moon Mastery 101 and 201. They're each 6 weeks. You can take one, you can take both. You'll learn some of the basics about astrology, deepen your understanding of yourself and your behaviors, your talents, your blind spots. You'll learn about cosmic compatibility. There's a VIP community where you can ask questions, share insights. You have the opportunity to choose a study buddy if you so desire. We talk about astrology in action, like what's going on in the collective relating to the moon and transits and things that are happening. Yeah, and you'll get a framework for intention setting and come up with an action plan for success for any of your big goals. So why take it? Understanding your natal chart, your cosmic blueprint can really help you illuminate the shadows and the dark spaces in your psyche to bring things up for healing, to bring things up for recognition. Sometimes just recognizing, okay, I have an Aries moon and sometimes I'm a little fiery. That's all right. Understanding when it's coming up. I think I told this at another one of the webinars, like in 3rd grade, this teacher, this little prim lady from the South, just wanted to tell my mother about how I wanted to be first in line. That's all she wanted to talk about, not anything about my performance or what have you. And yeah, anyway, I've an Aries moon. Yeah, I like to be first in line. So what? It's the kind of thing that just is a recognition of like some things that are innate within me, and I can be a little impulsive. So I learned how to pause before taking action as I got older. And it was just like learning about your moon can just be really incredible and help you pivot from seeking outside guidance to inner wisdom when you understand your natal moon, where your progressed moon is, how you relate to the transiting moon, the moon cycles. Yeah, it's fun and it can help you decrease your stress, increase joy, and build better relationships. This is the syllabus. You can see it on the web page. You learn the basics of astrology, so it's appropriate for whether you're a brand new astrologer, and I've had several professional astrologers take the course, because a lot of classes, talk about the moon and give you information, but the moon is so important in astrology and in just even daily life, understanding what's going on. And really understand it can help you maintain balance, understanding your moon sign more deeply. That's 101. This is 201. And by the end of the course, you'll have a new perspective to make more conscious decisions, improve your personal relationships, and achieve your goals in life. And you get a journal to help you navigate the rest of the year. It's even more than 6 months. And you also have some bonuses. You get this gorgeous set of moon phase and zodiac altar cards that you can print out, and to help you stay present, like you can put them. I always have my cards showing me what sign the moon's in and what phase it's in, to help me stay present. Although now I kind of just know. You get a 20% off bonus for a reading or coaching program. I do 3-month coaching or 12-month coaching, where we, work with your goals and what you want to do in relationship to your natal chart. You get a bonus, the Wise Sky digital calendar that puts all the transits and moon stuff on your phone or desktop. And I think there's a couple more Procyon bonuses. There's at least 2 left for anyone else who signs up for the class, where you get an Ask Me Anything or horary reading, which is an $80 value. So the class 101 is $440, or 2 payments of $260. For the 6-week class, it's every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Pacific time. Classes are 90 minutes. And they're all live and interactive. When 201 comes around and the doors are open closer to May, it's 530, or 2 payments of $300. But you can save by purchasing both now, $800 for both classes, all 12 weeks, or 3 payments of $300. Are there any questions about Moon Mastery, Ashley?
Not in the chat.
Okay. Yeah. So if you have any questions, you can just email me at Celeste at Astrology by Celeste. And yeah. Oh, here. What does that say? Ah. Oh, Tanya. Yeah. Convince work on them to to take the class. Yeah. Let me know if you have any questions. Okay. Yeah, the study buddy is really helpful. And in fact, 2 of the women I paired up for study buddies last time are still working together, still meeting, and like doing their own moon circles and stuff. So yeah, the study, having someone to talk to about the charts and practice with is so helpful. Yeah. Okay. So I hope you will join me in class, and it starts next Tuesday. So keep that in mind. Okay, Ashley, let's see. How many people do we have who want readings?
22.
Okay. Well, there were so many questions. I don't think I would be able to do all 22, but I'll do the best I can. I mean, in fact, I know I won't. Okay. Let's see. But people can come for a book of reading if you want a reading. Okay, number 2 is first.
Number 2 is Brooke Zutler.
Okay. Brooke, and the birthday. Oh, Brooke, are you still here? Let's make sure before we.
I'm here.
Oh, good. What's the birth date?
Birthday is 5/24/1993. Montgomery County, Pennsylvania. Is that right? PA.
Yeah.
At
Okay.
8:35 p.m.
Okay. Oh, hold on. It's trying to find Montgomery. Okay, Montgomery.
Montgomery County.
You could put
Okay.
Winwood too.
You can put what?
Winwood.
WIN.
WYNNEWOOD.
Okay. Okay, I found that. And what was the time again?
8:35 p.m.
Okay. Okay, so here is the chart. And so someone asked about the numbers on the outside. So this demarcates the house. So her first house starts at 8 degrees and 19 minutes of Sagittarius. So that's her ascendant rising sign degree. And then the second house is at 11 degrees of Capricorn in the Placidus system. The third house of 19 Aquarius. So that's what the numbers on the outside wheel. So in her chart, Brooke is having her Saturn return. Congratulations, Brooke.
Thank you.
Saturn's today at 0 degrees of Pisces. So she's about to have her first hit of her Saturn return, and in her third house. So this can be about like crystallizing thought processes in your mind. You may need to take on more responsibility in your local community or with your neighbors or something like that, or siblings. It could be like a time when you're writing a book, or adding some kind of spiritual practice that you do on a regular basis around, that has to do with writing or speaking or meditating. Something about the mind can come up with this transit. In your natal chart, your Saturn squares your sun. So you're going to have Saturn square your sun in your 6th house, almost to your 7th house. But so your identity is going to be like, it can be a time of test where if there's something like you're really working on, the 6th house can have to do with like your daily work and things like that, that you're feeling like pressure to achieve something or accomplish something, or feeling like, that, you're pushing up against boundaries and things like that with it. Yeah. Do you have any, did you have any specific questions, Brooke, or?
I will. So I will reach out and book a reading, but this makes a lot of sense as you're going through it.
Yeah. And you have your moon in Cancer in the 8th house. of deep psychological processes.
Yep.
And like with Jupiter ruling your whole chart, and you have Jupiter in Libra in the 10th house. Yeah. So like really having, like with Jupiter, with Sagittarius, there like seeking of meaning in life and a higher philosophy. And it has probably a lot to do with how you relate to other people with your Jupiter in Libra, especially like one-on-one kind of relationships that I would imagine you need to have like a sense of meaning in the work you do. And with Mercury ruling your midheaven, stuff about communication is very important. Yeah, what do you do for work?
Well, I actually just left the corporate world. So now I'm freelancing and consulting. So that also makes a lot of sense.
That's your Saturn return. You separated from the corporate world of Saturn's coming to square your sun and having the faith, Jupiter, to throw off the shackles and do the freelancing, taking that risk, Sagittarius, fire, being able, and Mars in Leo, taking the risk to seek your own path, despite your moon in Cancer, which likes security.
This is exactly true.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you, Celeste.
You're welcome. Okay, let's see. Number 4.
Courtney Porter.
Okay, Courtney. And the date?
10/6/1988 in Olean, New York.
How do you spell that? Olean?
Correct.
Okay.
At 9:37 p.m.
Okay, Courtney. Oh, I guess I should have asked. Are you still here, Courtney? Can you come off mute? Uh-oh, maybe she had to leave. How about number 6?
Courtney must have stepped away because I see her still here.
Maybe she went to let's do number 6 and then I'll come back to Courtney.
Number 6 is Nancelia. And she just came off mute, so she's here.
Hi.
And her birth date is 12/31/1982 in Vancouver, Washington at 7:29 p.m.
Okay. Okay, let's see. Yeah. So, I said I was going to talk about what I look at when I see a chart. So when I first open Nancy Celia's chart, the first thing jumps out at me is how much Capricorn she has. So she has this big stellium in Capricorn. And then I would look, she's a Leo rising and a Leo moon. And although Capricorn and Leo are very different signs, they have nothing in common in terms of element or mode. In terms of Leo is fixed fire, Capricorn's cardinal earth. They both have these like strong leadership abilities. And I would wonder if, her son is in the 5th house of creativity and things. Like I'm getting like her work, I would think, may be very important to her. I wonder, like Nancelia, do you do anything creative or around children, or what do you do?
So I recently have started an app that assists artists, helping other artists create art in exchange for equity.
I love it. I love it, love it, love it. So all this stuff in the sixth house is the sixth house of service. So like this desire for equity, all this fifth house stuff, creative and artists, like Leo is a creator. Yeah. I think that's, and you started an app. You have the leadership skills, Capricorn, the big vision, Leo, to create your own thing, and the Mars in Aquarius, desiring for equity, people being treated well and whatnot. So yeah, that shows up in your chart. And yeah, you're focused probably as well on, manifesting to have like financial security in your own life. And the North Node is right up here in your 10th house, the North Node of destiny. It's like at around 4 degrees right now. So you've been, let me just pull the bi wheel. You've got Uranus like awakening you. It's been in your 10th house since 2018, awakening you to like what you can do, what you can create, an app, Uranus, a technology app. I love it.
Spot on.
Did you have any questions or?
Well, of course, like, is this worth my, I mean, I've always felt like this was my destiny, and I've always felt like this is what I'm meant to do. And I just don't want to do anything else. But financially, I'm running into like needing investors, needing help and all this kind of stuff. So I'm just like, I'm at that point where I'm like, what am I doing wrong? Like, is this going to work out?
Well, I would say that, so on October 25th, there was an eclipse to your Saturn, which has to do with legacy. And the sun and the moon were next to Venus. And so like opposing you. So that was probably like, the investors coming in and things like that. Now, you may have been feeling a lot of tension while Saturn was in Aquarius, because it's a square to Taurus and Scorpio. But Saturn is now in Pisces, and it's coming to be in a sextile with your Saturn. So that can be opportunity. So you've got Saturn going through your sixth. Oh, where's Saturn? Oh no, Saturn's going through your 7th house. So like there are tests with these relationships, but I think like sticking to it, you may find more ease. And Jupiter is climbing up to your midheaven. So Jupiter is the planet of abundance. If you feel this strongly about this thing, you want to try it, you want to test it. And yeah, I'm going to pull a card for you from the Alchemy deck by Kim Kranz. Yeah, and you're a Leo. It's like Leo rising. You like have this big vision, and you're meant to take the risk. Yeah.
That's how I feel. I've never felt like this before in my life. Like I've like publicly quit my job in a very insane way. Like I've been like super duper insane for the last few months. So, but it feels good and it feels authentic. And I don't know. I don't want to go back to corporate America ever.
Yeah. Well, nothing ventured, nothing gained. And I pulled the moon card for you.
Ooh, like that's a beautiful deck.
Yeah, so that moon, that Leo moon, yeah, this is a Kim Cran's alchemy deck. Like, yeah, needing to do something where you feel valued. So the mystery, receptivity, intuition. Yeah. The moon reminds us we are in constant transition, a continual process of letting go. It is the yin principle, one of listening rather than speaking. Yeah, this card may indicate a time of rest and restoration is in order, or that a new depth of spiritual practice calls. Dreams and memories may be especially vivid. The gates to the liminal realm have opened. The alchemist's task is to be receptive to its message. So you listened to your inner voice,
Yes.
and you took action. Yeah. Be patient, though, as the moon speaks in the language of symbols, and deciphering its messages takes time. Magic is afoot. Sink into it, sweet child.
Wow, that's amazing, Celeste. So, and
Yes,
that's the other thing.
go
I
ahead.
felt like what is happening with my finances, it's forcing me to stay home, and it's forcing me to rest, and it's forcing me to sleep, and I'm used to going. And I guess that's kind of the message that I got was like, we're trying to get you to rest, calm down, it'll be okay, you know?
Listen to your inner voice. And at some time you might want to take moon mastery. I don't know if you have the bandwidth now that you're starting a business, but like the more you can do with connecting with your moon, the better, and listening to that inner voice and wisdom. Definitely get, some kind of deck. I have a bunch of recommendations on my Amazon page.
This is what's on my deck right now, was also the moon, which is crazy as well. So
let me see.
I have the Modern Witch one.
Oh, I love Modern Witch. Yeah, I have that deck.
Yep. So mine has been on the moon too. I don't know. It just was on there today. So I really appreciate the reading. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. My pleasure. And all the best of luck to you and your business. Okay, let's see. Did Courtney, are you there? Okay, maybe she had to leave. Number 10.
Dion Marie.
Dion, are you here?
Hi there.
Hi. Okay, great. What is the birth date, Ashley?
4/27/69.
Oh my God, I'm so excited. Thank you.
In Salinas, California at 3:29 a.m.
At 3:29 a.m. Okay, nice to meet you, Dion.
I'll start video. Nice to meet you.
Oh, good. Okay, let's see. So here is your chart. So again, when I look at the chart, like I look to where my eyes draw me, and I look to all of this stuff in the 7th house of the other. So in Dion's life, I bet there's been a lot going on about relationships and how like you've been transformed by people in relationships. You maybe have had like some love relationships that brought you down to your knees, but also grown. And I say that because of Pluto, but also really grown with Jupiter or expanded. Yeah, you got your moon there. You're like a big part of your life, I would imagine, is about relationships. And with the sun in Taurus in the 2nd house, there's this desire for security. And I wonder if at times Dion has been in a relationship where she knew it was time to let go of it, but the desire to like it's hard to get out of it when there's that Taurus fixed energy, and such a compassionate person, probably with the Pisces rising, but enjoying adventure. Like with Mars in Sagittarius, there is kind of like, maybe you will have it easier than most Tauruses to say, I'll see you later. So does any of that connect?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, see ya. But there's a push and pull. Like I like that security, but at the same time, I'm always looking at something else. And hey, I want adventure. I want something new. I want.
So
Yeah,
you got a lot of internal conflict because you've got Venus stationary in the sign of Aries. So when you're born, when a planet's stationary, it's really important in your life. So that Venus in Aries, like wanting independence.
Yep.
In your relationships, and trine Mars and Sagittarius, like, okay, I want freedom. I want excitement. I want things to be fun, but I want my snuggly blanket with Taurus and the stability. It's like, yeah.
It's all true, Celeste. It's all true. Oh my God.
Yeah. Now, the big thing that's coming is now that Saturn's gone into Pisces, Saturn is coming to your ascendant. So it's a time where you can be getting more serious or feeling more separate or internal. It's also really, if anything comes up with your health, because the ascendant in the first house is about our vitality, go right to the doctor. But
Okay.
it may just be more about you. Like, have you been withdrawing a little bit into yourself? Do you feel like?
I think, yeah, I do. But I always thought that was from my Virgo moon. I do have a tendency. I do have a tendency.
Uh-oh. Wait, April 29th, 1969?
27.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Because I'm like, that's April 27th.
It looked close.
19 what?
69.
69. Yeah, it shouldn't change much, but it'll change the moon.
There we go.
Yeah. Okay. The moon's in. Oh, okay. I didn't see that. Oh, so they're like even more wanting to be of service to people. Yeah. And have you ever been in a relationship with someone really hypercritical?
Yes.
All that Virgo over there. Yeah. 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 But learning and growing through it. And so, yeah, Saturn is on your ascendant right now. And you're going to have the eclipse that's happening April 19th is to your natal Saturn, which rules your hopes and dreams, groups and organizations. Like your job. Are you happy with your job? Or do you work?
I do. I'm a nurse. So yeah, I enjoy it.
Okay. And you work in a hospital. Okay. Yeah. That's interesting. It'll be interesting to see, because the eclipse is in your second house of your salary and connected with your Saturn. So I don't know if there's any kind of promotion you want to go for or something like that. That could be a good time, because the 11th house is the money you make from the work you do. And Jupiter right now is in a trine to actually you have Mars stationary, not Venus. Yeah, that's interesting. You have Mars and Venus like were right around the retrograde points when you were born. That's really interesting. Yeah. Was there any like questions specifically? Or
my burning question is, do you see in my chart, I've always wanted to live abroad.
Mars in Sagittarius rules your 9th house of long distance travel. Neptune there. I have a dream to live abroad. And maybe that's what this eclipse will bring in. Maybe you'll decide to follow your dream. With Saturn and Pisces, that with Saturn going through your first house, like moving abroad would separate you from other people where you're spending more time in seclusion. So yeah, you've got well over 2.5 years to maybe make that dream happen.
Okay. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Love it. Thank
Oh,
you.
good. You're welcome. Okay, let's see. Are you okay to keep going a little bit longer, Ashley?
Yes.
Okay. Number 3.
Number 3 is Susan.
Susan, are you still here?
Susan Boyce.
Yes, I am.
Okay, let's see. What is Susan's birth date?
I don't have her birthday. She'll have to
Oh,
get that.
do you have Susan? What's your birth date?
December 18th, 1956 at 9 a.m. in San Jose, California.
Okay. And is that exact or just close?
Yes. At 9 a.m. Yes.
Okay. So December 18th, 1956. Great. Yeah, so when I look at Susan's chart, I see, she has more of the planets more spread out rather than that emphasis of in like some of the other charts we've seen. What jumps out at me is she has Venus next to the North Node in her 10th house. I wonder how that shows up in terms of Venus next to the North Node in the 10th house could be someone who's involved in a Venusian type business, but it's Venus in Scorpio. So Venus type businesses could be like fashion or any kind of like jewelry or any kind of working with women, like working with battered women, like just popped into my mind, especially since the moon, or maybe she's in a, like, have you ever worked in healthcare or taking care of people?
No, not in healthcare. No, not at all.
What have you done for your career, if you have had one?
Oh, I haven't had a career, but I am a budding writer.
Ah, a budding writer. Okay. Moon and Cancer in the 6th house. Do you have a lot of children?
No, I have no children.
Oh, no children. Okay. Huh. Okay. So budding writer. So I look at the 3rd house and the 9th house. So Mars in Aries. So I would think you are like motivated to communicate. And Venus in Scorpio. Do you have a hard time getting started with the writing?
No, it's just getting it a little more organized is all. It's easy for me to write.
It's easy for you to write, but it's difficult to get it organized. Well, you've got your Venus ruling your 9th house of publishing. So writing a book or something next to the North Node, your destiny. What do you write about? Do you write about scorpionic topics like in power dynamics or intensely intertwined relationships or a mystery or
relationships, health, spirituality?
Oh, spirituality. Okay. Yeah. And with Neptune in that 9th house. Yeah. And your sun is in Sagittarius, which that makes total sense. And and you're coming up on your Saturn, your opening Saturn square. So you had your second Saturn return around 7 years ago. And now that Saturn's in Pisces, it's in a square to your natal Saturn. So your hopes and dreams of being a writer. So now may be the time, like you're really putting in the work to get more organized, even though it may be feeling like somewhat of a struggle in order to maybe publish your work while Saturn is in Pisces. You've got your moon in Cancer in the 6th house. That to me, like, moon in Cancer in your 6th house rules your, oh, that's your rules your partner. Okay. Yeah. Like a lot of times when I see a moon in the 6th house, it's someone who's like in healthcare or something like of service or things like that.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
I do just generally help people out with their health if they need help.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. So I think that's wonderful that you're writing your book and it's about relationship stuff. Did you have a question specifically or?
Oh, it's just about I'm trying to get my house ready to sell, and I want to move back out into the country, and I'm just wondering if that's going to become something that's a reality.
Well, there's going to be an eclipse where the sun is at 14 Taurus and the moon is at 14 Scorpio. So the 4th house, the sun will be in your 4th house, the moon opposite it. So that could be around the time, this is happening in May, around the time that you sell your house. Like the North Node is in Taurus and you have Taurus on the IC and you've got Uranus in your 4th house. So selling your house is right on target. Now, I wonder if you'll be able to get as much money as you want because Saturn in Pisces, Saturn kind of constricts things and it's coming to your 2nd house cusp. So has it been on the market for quite a while or?
I haven't put it on the market. I don't think I'll have a problem selling it. It's just
okay.
The problem of finding the right place for myself. I want it private, surrounded by trees, you know.
Ah, okay. Yeah, well, Saturn in Pisces will trine your Neptune. So finding your dream house location, if you put the work in, I think you'll find it.
Great.
Yeah. Yeah, but like Saturn coming to your 2nd house, that's interesting when you're selling. But you've got Jupiter. Yeah. Yeah, maybe Saturn trine Neptune is about you finding the place where you really want to live that's far away. 9th house from where you are now. Is it, or do you want to move a long distance?
No, not a long distance.
Close by?
Yeah, I live in a nice, very nice area. I live outside the city limits, but I have neighbors that are very close to me and I would rather not. I've lived out before and I want to go back to living out in the country.
Okay. Well, Venus rules your house. Venus is going, when Venus is in Taurus is a good time for you to maybe put it on the market. Yeah, Venus will be in Leo this summer. So that could be a symbolic. What's happening is Venus is going to go retrograde in Leo. So it's going to spend a lot of time in your 7th house. And that can be like in a contract where there is like some kind of back and forth or negotiations. So yeah, I just would say if you don't sell it till this summer, there may be some back and forth either with the house you're selling or the house you're buying, where you want to make sure you read all the fine print on the contract. Yeah, but Saturn coming to trine your moon too, which the moon also rules the home. So yeah, if you want to sell your house, that makes sense. And there's going to be an eclipse that's trine your sun. So that's like a time of, and your sun is right near the 12th house. So that's symbolic of something's ending for you and like ending living where you are now so that you can move to your new location. So it looks like you're on time for wanting to make a change in where you live with Uranus in your 4th house of the home.
Huh. Well, it just seems like it's not real clear there, and you kept saying that there was you asked me about healthcare. Well, the only health thing that's going on with me is I have a lot of health issues and I'm trying to recover from those.
Ah, okay. Well, hopefully now that Saturn is in, a lot of health issues. I wonder if did they start like around 2020 or before that?
Or way before that.
So it's been a long time.
Right.
Well, Mercury rules your 6th house of things that go wrong with your health from your 12th house. So that can be, and you have the moon in, but you have your moon in domicile in the 6th house. Yeah, I'd have to study your chart more. Is it like nervous issues with Gemini on your 6th house, like nerve stuff?
No,
Stomach?
quite a few autoimmune issues.
Autoimmune. Okay, that's, you know what it is. I can see it now. You have Mars square your moon in your 6th house. I think that's what's symbolic of you having some health issues that maybe at some times have been hard to diagnose, with Neptune trine your moon in the 6th house. And quincunxes are health aspects, and you have your moon, quincunx Saturn. And so, yeah, that can be a health aspect. Like moon square Saturn can be like things like lupus or other autoimmune stuff. So I think that's like symbolic of moon, quincunx Saturn as well. I wonder if you'll feel better when Pluto moves into Aquarius, maybe, because it's out of the sign that rules your ascendant.
Well, I know I'm trying to rid myself of, they say that it goes back, of course, to childhood. They say that your trauma sits in your cells. And my father abused my spirituality when I was 6.
Oh, okay. That's and Mercury rules your 8th house as well as your 6th house. So yeah, the 8th house can have to do with, like you're talking about, abuse of your spirituality. And Mars, this Mars at 6 degrees of Aries. Interesting. Yeah.
Hard nut to crack, huh?
Yeah. Well, maybe Saturn and Pisces, you can find some healing. And with this Jupiter Chiron conjunction in the 3rd house, which rules your mind, that, yeah, maybe you can find some deep healing with this that's coming up. I hope you can. I'll just pull a card for you. Let's see what I pull. Yeah, so see, it's harder for me to connect it with the chart. Like I usually have to study it a little more when there's planets without the there's nothing that totally jumps out except for that Venus North Node conjunction.
That's pretty scattered.
Yeah. And writing about that spiritual abuse, maybe.
Yeah.
your work can help other people heal.
Right. Yeah. I just love to help other people.
Yeah, I think, yeah, okay. Mm, yeah. I pulled the caution card for you, and Chiron, the key. So to me, this is about speaking about unlocking your, like, the trauma, maybe through the writing that you do with, and especially this Saturday is that Jupiter Chiron conjunction. Maybe you can spend some time really writing about, or writing for the purpose of healing. Yeah. And so another thing you have here that jumped, now that you said that, so you have Venus on the 4th house, and that's the father, and it in Scorpio, a sign where it's in detriment. And you have the South Node in your 4th house near a fixed star Algol that, yeah, suggests, an abusive father is not a big surprise. And your Venus squares your Pluto, even though it's out of sign, on the 8th house cusp of like taboo stuff, and like it can even be, all kinds of abuse. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot of neglect from both parents, but I don't remember my childhood. I don't. There's nothing there that I can remember.
Yeah. Well, sometimes we protect ourselves by
Right.
forgetting stuff. Yeah. Well, I hope that was helpful.
Yes, it was. So Saturday, do some writing.
Yes, that's what I would recommend.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Are you okay to do one or two more, Ashley? I know
Okay,
it's
yeah. Yes.
okay. Number 12.
Diara.
Are you
The
still
corner?
here? Are you still here, Diara? Okay, so maybe she had to go.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay. Let's
I
see.
couldn't find the mute button. I don't know why.
That's all right. Yeah. Do you
Yeah,
have the? Yeah.
Yes, her birth date is 2/28/1983 in New Orleans at 3:36 p.m.
New Orleans is in Louisiana. Oh, took me a second. Okay, so when I look at Diara, what jumps out at me is this 5th house stellium of and all the fire. So you have, this is a grand trine in fire. So she has this Jupiter Uranus conjunction in and it's in a trine with her Venus and Mars and Leo. So the Sagittarius fire sign, Aries fire sign, Venus and Mars and Aries, sorry, and Leo rising fire sign. So a grand trine and fire. I bet you are like so fun at a party, and you're the friend who's getting people in trouble. Hey, let's go. I bet you're a great running buddy, and you yeah.
But it's good trouble, not bad trouble.
Good trouble. Yeah, fun trouble, but I'm sure you like yeah, you led your friends to like do some like risk, like have fun. Let's go to this party in this other town, like kind of stuff when you were young. Yeah. So so you're a Pisces sun. So you're happy birthday.
Thank you.
Yeah. Pisces sun, Libra moon. So do you like to do things together with other people a lot?
I can do it with people together or by myself. Yeah, I could do either or.
So you're an either or kind of person. Typically, well, are you someone who's like constantly balancing or thinking about, should I do this or should I do that, or people pleasing? How does that Libra moon show up for you?
I try not to people please, but I do try to balance everything, make
Okay.
everything fair.
Fairness. Okay. Fairness is a really key key value with the Libra moon. Yeah. Yeah. And so, yeah, Saturn's going into Pisces. Now it's coming close to your sun. So this could be a time where you're feeling, but this is not till next year. Yeah. Do you have a question? Let me just not keep rambling on. Do you have a question? This moon on my
I
Uranus is
messing with.
it's messing with me.
I just really want to know what I have to look forward to now that I've turned 40. I feel the same, but everybody keep asking how you feel, I'm like, well, I feel the same.
Yeah.
But I'm in a job I still don't like, and my life is still stagnant right now. So
Well, if we look at the bi-wheel, so the North Node is right at your midheaven, and the first thing you say is you have a job you don't like. So how about making some changes with your job? Venus is moving up to your midheaven, and Jupiter, so is Jupiter. I would put some energy into finding a new job, would be the number one thing I would be doing if I were you.
okay, I like creative jobs. So I work at a hospital right now, the VA hospital actually.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to get back into my filming, so I would have to move back to California. That's what I really want to do.
Well, you've got Jupiter in your ninth house. So as Saturn starts moving up to the top of our chart, it's like when we're putting in the effort to manifest what we want to do for our legacy. So Saturn going into your 8th house could really bring up a lot of stuff in terms of your shadow energies, like what's holding you back from pursuing your passion of what you really want to do. You have all of this stuff in the 5th house, so that makes a lot of sense that you're very, very like wanting to do something creative. But it's may not necessarily be easy, but you have Mars in Aries, which suggests and that you have the ability to really, if you have put your mind to something, like push to get it done. Do you feel like you have that ability?
Yeah.
Yeah. With Mars is the executive function. It's how we take action. You have it at home in Aries that can help you push, but you have your Mars in a square with the North and South node. So do you want to really when you come to a crossroads, do you let yourself get focus on what's not working, or do you just have the determination to pursue the 11th house dream and keep going? So maybe be focused on saving up money in order to Saturn going into your 8th house, letting go, reducing debt, saving money in order to be able to move back to California and pursue your big dreams, because the North Node and Uranus are in your house of your legacy. How can you be awakened to take the chances, take the risks to do what you really want to do? And like, yeah, in a creative field, it can be hard to make enough money, but maybe you can figure out creative ways to make it work. Yeah, and with Saturn rules your partnerships, and yeah, with Saturn coming to trine your Saturn, and you're the sun. Yeah, it's possible that, like in Taurus season, maybe. Well, that's going to be an opposition. Yeah, I'd have to study your chart longer to think about that relationships, but I hope that helped with the job stuff.
Yes, thank you. I've been trying to quit for a while, but they gave me a promotion. So I'm like, well, I'm still about to leave because I'm just tired.
Yeah, that's the North Node and in your 10th house. You've got a promotion, but Uranus there, you really want to like separate and leave. Maybe you'll leave when Uranus gets to your Chiron, or maybe before then.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I hope that's helpful.
Yes, it is. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, with all that fire and that Leo rising, being creative is like you're here to, yeah, you're a passionate person that, North Node in Cancer in the 11th house. At some point, I think you're going to follow your dream. Okay, well, I think
Okay.
yeah. Okay. Well, I hope that was helpful. I think my brain is starting to be a little fried. Are there any other questions that anyone has before we go?
I have some questions, Celeste.
Yes. Hi, Samantha.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. By the way, everyone, I've taken Celeste's Moon Mastery 101 and it was really great. So highly recommend it.
Yes, thank you so much. I loved having you. It is
so on the
wonderful to see you.
chart, I noticed there's a little S symbol next to some planets. What is that?
That's stationing. So that's when a person's born with a planet stationing on the day that it's either turning retrograde or direct. There's like an intensity to the energy, and that planet tends to be really important in their life. So whatever houses that planet rules, like transits to that planet tend to be more important for people.
So if your North Node is stationing?
Well, the nodes station all the time, so I wouldn't worry about the nodes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they wobble. So they kind of do the stationing thing.
Got it. Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. It's so wonderful to see you.
Yeah, you too.
And Angelisa, you have a question?
Yeah, thank you. So I was just curious about like when you get like the readings for, Sagittarius rising or, for the different ones, it's a different house, right? So like, for example, with Pisces, I can't remember what it was exactly, but it's like everything's talking about my 4th house. But Pisces and Placidus starts in my 3rd house.
So when so what's happening when that's called sun sign astrology. And so okay, let me pull up your chart. I think I have it here. Are you okay for me to pull up your chart, Angelisa?
I don't want to keep you too long because I know you were feeling tired, but I just was, curious about that because all the Pisces stuff, I can't remember what it was talking. Oh, it's like everything is about my home and like what's happening in my home, which is 4th house, but Pisces begins in my 3rd house.
Yeah. So when you look at your chart, So you have, and this is because you have your ascendant at a later degree in the sign. So
okay.
you have a lot of stuff. Yeah. So when you're reading horoscopes, what they're doing is they're using whole sign.
For Sagittarius rising.
Yeah. So what they're doing with that is, so let me show you this. View the dual wheel. So this is your chart in Placidus. This is your chart in whole sign. So when we're talking about Saturn and Pisces, you may be feeling the influence of Saturn in your home, family, and foundations because you have Pisces on the cusp of the fourth house. And yeah, you may automatically start seeing stuff about home stuff. Yeah. Have you found a place yet?
Well, we did. We moved in November, but we don't know if we're going to be able to stay here. We don't know if this is more permanent or not. So yeah, it's still a question a little bit.
Well, really note if you do find out you need to move or separate from this house, because Saturn's in Pisces, especially when it gets to around 10 degrees. Yeah, it could be like you moving, but you have, yeah, it could be something about moving when Saturn gets to your, I'm sorry, no.
See, yeah, this is what I mean. So here, right?
Yeah.
Pisces, third house, right? And then
yes, okay. This is because you have intercepted signs. You have Cancer and Capricorn intercepted. But if you look at whole sign, you have Pisces there. So if you need to move when Saturn gets to Jupiter, which rules like the fourth house in the whole sign, that would be an interesting thing to note. But with Placidus, your IC is at 14 Aries. So yeah, see, this is why yeah, I don't think you'll have to, yeah. Really notice this Saturday,
yeah,
Jupiter Chiron on your IC, if you notice, if something comes up around your house.
okay. Oh geez, this Saturday, Celeste. So quick. Okay.
Or when Jupiter gets to, or Mars gets to your Chiron in your fourth house, or anything. Notice what happens when you hear stuff about your house. It's likely when your Mars is aspected, or Mars is making a transit in the sky, or something's coming to your IC. But notice if you notice family stuff with Saturn in Pisces.
Okay.
Yeah. As a Sag rising.
So what you're saying then is, because here in Placidus, it's in my third house, but I'd be feeling Pisces in my fourth house.
Well, see what you notice, because I would think Saturn in Pisces with your Placidus chart. I wonder, is this going to be a time when you're writing another book?
Yeah. I mean, yes. Okay.
Yeah. Getting really serious about your writing. I find for me, Placidus is very accurate with my chart.
Yeah. Okay.
So.
Okay. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Sorry if I confused you a little bit.
No, not at all. I appreciate it. I didn't want to take too much of your time because
no, that's fine. I'm happy to answer your question. Yeah. Any other questions?
Oh, Celeste.
Yes.
I need to know, where do you get those earrings? I want them.
Oh, one of my clients gave this to me.
Okay.
Yeah, I love them. I love my
question.
earrings. Yeah, I got them from a client, so I don't know where she got them. But thank you. Well, a million thank yous for you, Ashley. I so appreciate you staying really late and helping me with the questions and all the people. So thank you so much.
No problem at all.
And thank you, everyone. I hope that, oh, hold on. See some of you in Moon Mastery, or come to one of my setting intentions workshops. And then I do more of the hot takes on natal charts with the moon as well, or come for a reading or coaching program or what have you. But thank you so much for coming. And sorry, I was a little bit of a live wire this evening. But have a wonderful night.
Thank you.
Thank you.